A few days ago, a significant tragedy struck the sporting world. And, I've had to think, coming into this week, the Super Bowl coming up, I was ready to talk about the Pro Bowl and why they just need to stop playing that game. And then, a helicopter went down in Calabasas, California. With Kobe Bryant, the former NBA star, and 8 others, including his daughter, John Altobelli and his daughter, 3 Mambasitas, the little Mamba players on Kobe's daughter's team, were part of that crash, and it's just one of those days. It was extremely sad, and, I was trying to plan my show today. Every show I do is very thoroughly planned out. I have all the things I want to talk about, loads of notes. The introduction's timed up. I don't even think I want to put the introduction into this episode because, it's just these are the shows, and you heard it when you were reading all the stories and seeing all the sportscasters talk about it, and Mike Breen saying it on air that he just doesn't want to broadcast today. It was one of those days where, sadness sort of overcame a whole generation of people. And now Kobe Bryant's legacy, with days to think about it, is a complex one. Kobe Bryant was one of the greatest basketball players to ever lace him up, one of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen. Created an image for himself and created a lifestyle with the way he practiced and played and worked, and everyone could take a little bit away from Kobe for those reasons. And there's a lot of great Kobe's done for this world. I have it written here that, I was never a Kobe Bryant fan. Kobe Bryant was never, ever my guy. I was a LeBron James guy through and through, and that made me think a lot when Kobe went. Kobe was 41 years old. My parents are older than that. Gianna Bryant was 13 years old. I have an 11-year-old sister. It is one of those just absolutely tragic events in so many ways. Kids lost their lives, parents lost their lives, and it seems that everyone on that helicopter had touched so many people in so many positive ways. So when I think about Kobe Bryant, the tragedy in the history of this is just beginning. And the impact Kobe had on the sport of basketball, the impact he had on his peers and the people around him, has just been so evident. And it's really made these last few days for the people around basketball and the fans who followed Kobe. And it made it possible for them to get through this. Vanessa Bryant lost her husband, a man she's been with since she was 17 years old. His other daughters lost their father. And there are not enough prayers and support to be sent to those 9 victims in this situation involved in that crash. It's just growing up in California, I was surrounded by Lakers fans. Some of my best friends when I lived in Utah were huge Kobe Bryant fans. Kobe Bryant transcended the Los Angeles region. He transcended the typical sports fanaticism. He was one of the first global icons of the game. You've got Michael Jordan, you've got Magic Johnson, you've got Wilt Chamberlain, you've got Kobe Bryant, you've got LeBron James. And to me, those are the 5 transcending, world-renowned superstars in the sport. And Kobe was one of those pioneers that spread the game to China, spread the game to Europe. He was from Europe, lived in Italy. Was a huge soccer fan, connected the 2 sports, got them interwoven in their fanhood and their ideologies and their beauty. And he talked about just how the way soccer's played and the way Phil Jackson and coach were so similar, and his love for just sports in general is something that I really see in myself. And it sucks because since 1996, the year I was born, I was never a Kobe Bryant fan. I was a basketball fan. I enjoyed watching him, but I spent my life comparing Kobe Bryant to my favorite player. And I spent my life comparing my favorite player to one of the greatest players, rather than just enjoying the 2 of those players. Kobe was Los Angeles. He was the Lakers. And that's one of the things you hear Magic Johnson, Jerry West, and so many people when I was listening to the radio in California talk about when I was there. It was just, Kobe moved so many people. And a lot of that came in those few years he was not a basketball player in his second active life. And as he was touching more and more people with more and more, activities, he was coaching his daughter, he was making movies, he was working with his charity, he was helping individuals every day. And it was just such a, he was just fixing all the wrongs he had done. And then, I never ever appreciated Kobe Bryant, the basketball player. I'd argue LeBron, he doesn't have the rings, but he's a more well-rounded basketball player, yada, yada, yada. I have a lot of friends who saw Kobe as their deity. He was their god. He was everything that drove them to be great as an athlete, as a person. And that is something that transcends sports. That is something that transcends life. And that's why when you see the amount of people who were so shooken by this tragedy, by this event, on just the Kobe aspect alone, it really puts it into perspective the power sports has on people's lives and what an athlete can mean to a community and what an athlete can mean to the world. And I thought about kids that I hadn't thought about in years because I just knew how much they loved Kobe Bryant. And I couldn't imagine how much it was hurting them because their whole life was that Mamba mentality. They wanted to be like Kobe Bryant. It didn't matter if it was playing basketball, baseball, football. They just wanted to pride themselves with trying to be as close as they could to their hero. And I can relate to that. The way I look at LeBron James is the way so many of these people looked at Kobe. And if LeBron passed in that same way, I know for a fact I couldn't really live my life the next couple days because so many of my memories are attached to that athlete. And so many of my memories, because of my memories with LeBron, are attached to Kobe Bryant because that's how it works. In the sports world, the greats are each other's rivals. And that is only 2 fans. You saw it last night with LeBron's Instagram post, Michael Jordan's Instagram post, all these other great athletes' posts. It's not they are in a fraternity, the NBA. It is a brotherhood, and there is nothing but respect for each other. And yes, there's rivalries, but after the game ends and after you retire from the sport, there's no hard feelings. You realize how much of an accomplishment putting that NBA logo on your uniform and getting drafted into that league means. And to be at the level Kobe was at, you are in an even more distinct group of individuals. He's third all-time in scoring, tops in a lot, won 5 rings, 3 with Shaquille O'Neal, 2 back-to-back years with Pau Gasol and that crew. He won at the highest level. and he performed at the highest level. And now, the earliest memories I have being a basketball fan was Kobe demanding trades, Kobe not really being a team player, and that drove me nuts. And all the jokes, Kobe, pass, question mark, just get the rebound, all those jokes, that's how I sort of knew Kobe for the longest time. And seeing LeBron play as a guy who is more unselfish and willing to pass and doing all that to win, that was what attracted me to that side. But the thing about Kobe is Kobe wasn't a selfish basketball player. Kobe was a player who wanted to win so bad that sometimes it was perceived in a negative way, like the way I saw it. But in reality, hearing all these stories, people did not ever see Kobe as being a selfish person. Kobe gave everything he had to his teammates. Kobe gave everything he had to his family. The reason he was on the helicopter was so he could spend more time with his kids and with his family. Kobe gave his life to his craft, and that is one of the most commendable aspects you can do to anything. When you give your life to something and it gives it right back to you, that is when you know everything was worth it. And I can work a little harder. Everyone knows they can work a little harder. And the thing that Kobe Bryant can say is he worked hard enough. And as he goes and gets his forgiveness and goes through the gates, with his daughter, I couldn't imagine that situation. I was listening to one of my podcasts trying to get away from it, but it was the first thing they talked about. It's a comedy podcast. I mean, this is what this tragedy did. That idea of just a helicopter pilot just getting lost in the fog and just hoping, you think about it and you just know, like, what would happen if I was in that situation? Where would I be? How would that feel, And it's one of those aspects that you just never wish upon anybody. I don't know what to do today about this. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow about this. And as, everyone makes claims that Kobe should be the logo and Kobe should be the MVP trophy should be named after him, even though he only won it once. Kobe Bryant impacted tons of people, and there is a hard place to look when you talk about Kobe's legacy. But this is part of the challenge when you put these individuals on a pedestal. The guys like Tiger Woods, the guys like Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, these guys that are they transcend their own sports. They have fans in all walks of life. It doesn't matter. If you're not a basketball fan, you could have been a Lakers fan because of Kobe. But the one thing the guys I listed had in common were off the field, off the court, outside the ring, outside the octagon, off the golf course. Those guys weren't perfect. They weren't saints. And to me, it's always been a very humanizing aspect of my favorite athletes to know that they can make mistakes. And to call what he did in Denver a mistake might be putting it lightly, but that's something, we'll never know. In a real court, the woman who charged him with it never truly testified against him, and they settled outside of court. And allegedly, Kobe admitted to having an underage adulterous affair. And that is something that is always going to tarnish his legacy no matter how much you don't want to talk about it. And when people throw that out there, they are like, why do you have to do this now? And it's not a conversation that's going to be easy to have. It's not, because Kobe was a hero to so many. But it's an aspect that when you look and you hear people saying you got to make him the logo, you got to make all these awards named after him, you got to make him a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yes, all those things can possibly be true. There's not any award you should change to Kobe Bryant. The NBA logo does not need an update. The NBA logo belongs to the NBA. And the NBA is not going to make that decision out of emotion. And it's hard for me to even talk about this, but it's something that happened, and it's something you have to be aware of. And this is for not just Kobe Bryant, but for every single star athlete in the world. Star athletes, star actors, star actresses, they get our forgiveness a lot easier. They do something negative off the field, off the court, away from their sport, and everyone talks about it, and everyone hates and throws their rocks at them, and then they do something great and achieve something greater on the field and on the court. And over time, there's athletes who earn your respect back. And Kobe was one of those guys. And it's hard to say that. And a lot of women do not appreciate the idea that when a man has daughters, they start to be better men. But that's what happened to Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant changed the way he was for Gianna Bryant. And it wasn't for his wife. It wasn't for anybody else. It was for his first daughter. And once he had Gianna, Kobe Bryant became the guy that you should be proud to cheer for. In that 24 uniform, that is the Kobe Bryant that you should want to remember. But there is a Kobe Bryant before that. And that is something that you can never forget about. And when you treat someone like a hero and you put someone above on this pedestal, this is part of what happens. And I know a lot of journalists wrote about that part as much as the other part, because it's important to recognize that although a person who overcame and became better for himself and for his family, he was a flawed man. It's humanizing. This whole tragedy is a perspective thrill-filled. It just fills your eyes and heart with perspective. You know, I got on a plane last night. I was nervous for the first time to get on a plane in years, you know. You think back, you think to your family, you're like, man, the last time I saw my brothers were like a month ago. I saw my dad. He went to a movie. Me and my girlfriend Ubered to the airport. I haven't seen my mom in over a month. And, you know, it's one of those aspects. You sort of think back and, you know, whenever you're traveling, it's just one of those things. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it safely. Takes one wrong thing, and it's totally out of your control. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just hard to talk about this. It's the worst part about being a show host. It's the worst part about being a journalist, because for all the good things you get to write about and all those beautiful stories, you get to do the profiles, the columns of people overcoming obstacles, talking about the Super Bowl, talking about football, talking about the X's and O's, talking about all the easy parts that are there to talk about. This was a human who passed away in a very tragic accident. This was a human with 8 other human beings, one being his daughter, one being a baseball coach, John Altobelli, who touched so many lives, and his wife, and his daughter, who was a Mambasita. The little Mambas, you know. And then you have Christina Mauser, the top assistant coach for the girls' basketball team. She has one of the biggest handprints over Orange County and girls' sports that anyone could ever have. She has touched the lives of so many people with just her basketball clinics and progressing forward basketball for young girls. It's huge. This quote here from the Los Angeles Times said she was extraordinary, funny like nobody you've ever met. She could imitate anybody. He said she was just an amazing person. And that's not even talking about basketball. She put her heart and soul into teaching physical education at the school where she had worked for 11 years. She is a progressive person, Christina Mazur. That's what it makes it sound like. And then you have more, and you have Ara Zobayan, who is a flight teacher and has taught many helicopter pilots and was Bryant's only trusted pilot in that helicopter, and the only one he would have ever trusted to fly that helicopter in those conditions. Then there was Sarah Chester, a mother, and Peyton Chester, the daughter of Sarah Chester, who were also among the 9 victims. They went to the school, St. Margaret's Episcopal School in San Juan Capistrano. That is where I used to live. This accident happened so close to home with people that were around my community. People are surviving these individuals. Altabelli's, a son and a daughter are left living without their mother, father, and sister. The other 3 daughters of Kobe have to walk by their sister and their parents' room and know that they are never going to see their sister Gigi or their father Kobe ever again. And just putting that into the own perspective of your own life, that has to hurt. And, it really, really puts into perspective how much the little things matter. And I just, I could keep going on. We have so many memories of Kobe Bryant, the finals, the game winners, the practice stories about him just taking over practices. He played 1-on-1 to 100 and beat guys in high school 99 points, 100 to 1, 100 to 2. How do you not get tired? And then there's the Swaggy P one where Kobe threw a pass, broke Nick Young's thumb, called him soft, made Nick Young throw out his Kobe Bryant shoes, and after, when he realized it was actually broken, felt so bad, he was the first person to text him and call him before and after the surgery. Kobe was there for everybody in the league. Kobe was there for his family, and Kobe was there for his daughter one last time. Protected her as best he could. And when you're flying, there is just really nothing you can do. The reports are going to keep coming out. And that's where I want to end the conversation on reminiscing about Kobe Bryant and move into one of the most infamous journalism fails I've ever witnessed. And now I've become quite knowledgeable in media law and ethics and sports media and when and where you should go with stories and when you should release them. And TMZ has become a garbage piece of American culture that has broken more news than anyone knows what to do with. And this is from the SPJ, the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics. When you can do harm to someone, the code is to minimize harm. The harm that is done when you report a story falsely, and when you report that someone has died, and there are a bunch of false allegations to go along with it, and there's other reports conflicting, and everyone's putting out different information and trying to be the first story, and it wasn't just TMZ, it was legitimate news outlets, ABC, CBS, NBC, ESPN. It breaks your heart as someone who wants to get into that profession. I remember seeing the guys Stuart Mandel, Nicole Auerbach, people I follow for the college football beat, just in pain at the thought that there were false reports going out. And these reports were going out before the LA County Police Department and Fire Department could notify any of the families confirmation. And just thinking about the fact that a mother who had just had a child, lost her husband and daughter, was finding out from a TMZ report. And you know, the craziest thing is I was in Mexico, so it took a little longer for the news to get down there. I was getting my phone set up on the international service stuff, and someone said Kobe Bryant just died in a helicopter crash. And my first reaction, this is real as it gets, I'm sitting there by myself thinking, there is no fucking way Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. That is not the way Kobe Bryant is going out. That was not, I was like, this is a hoax. This is not real. And I'm hurrying up to getting my phone connected to LTE, getting it ready to start searching. I type in Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. Popped up 8 different news stories, 8 different reports. Some of them weren't even saying the crash was fatal. They were just reporting helicopter crash, Calabasas, may or may not be survivors. That is so irresponsible as a news organization. That bothered me. And as the stories kept coming out, I was watching the Pro Bowl, and they broke it poorly. Then they were disputing. There were disputes on how many people were on the helicopter, and there was disputes at if his daughter was with him or not. And those disputes shouldn't happen because you should not be reporting a story without confirmation from authorities. That's like journalism, intro to journalism 101. Yeah, that was horrible. These families had to find out through the news. And just picture if your father or brother or cousin or someone was super famous and a lot of people around you knew that and you had a lot of close friends, and you know they're seeing the news too. They're seeing Kobe Bryant's past. And what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to text his wife to see if it's not true, to see if Kobe's home with his family, because that's what they're hoping happened. They're going to text to see, like, are all your kids safe? Is everyone okay? Is this a real story? What's going on? And they're not going to know because they're seeing the news at the same time, and they had not been contacted by the authorities yet. And when you talk about harmful, that is one of the most harmful. That is one of the most harmful things a journalist can do to someone. And yes, TMZ is not journalism, but they should be more responsible, and they need to be held accountable. And is it abridging their First Amendment right to make sure that they have sources and valid ones? And those people in LA, in the LA County Sheriff's Office, in the LAPD, and the LA Fire Department that were leaking information, that is a sorry thing to do. There's a process to it, and there's a process to what you need to release a story. And once the story is confirmed by 2 to 3 legitimate sources, that is when you release it. And when you have all the information. You do not release a story until all the information is gathered. And yes, there's breaking news. But the breaking news was there was a helicopter crash in Calabasas. More information to come. And that was a journalism failure. Absolutely. Plain and simple. Man, that was a tough aspect of that story. And now, to, I guess, close out the show, I guess we got to get into what's next. For me, it's put my life in perspective. And, when these things happen, these tragedies, you think about it for a couple days and then you just move on and start living the way you used to. And that's a significant part of the challenge. And there's so many people that Kobe Bryant touched. And so many lives he changed. You just sort of think. My goal, and the reason I've always wanted to get into podcasting and radio and being able to broadcast to the rest of the world and to small communities, it doesn't matter. I just want to be on the air and have people listening. Because I want to impact as many lives as I can in a positive way. And when I put out this show, I just want people to feel like they learned a little something about sports, learned a little something about football, basketball, journalism, the players, statistics. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not the best at doing this. I'm not the best at marketing my own podcast. Half the time I get 30 downloads. But I keep doing it because I love it. And I need to really work harder if I want this to be real. And that's something that is a reflection of Kobe and that Mamba mentality. And I know so many people are feeling that same way. And you gotta make sure you're living that life. But Kobe didn't just live that life. He lived that life with intentions and goals. And he also was not sacrificing any part of himself to do it. He was giving himself to his family, to his relationships, to his friendships, to the people around him. And he was doing that all while giving it to his craft. Kobe Bryant, man, just thinking about it, it's crazy. Yeah, so, a lot of players in the NBA, they're not wearing 8 or 24 anymore. They're all trying to get their number changed in honor of Kobe Bryant. I know Kyrie Irving was one of my favorite players. He looked up to Kobe more than anyone. And when he hit that shot, that was where the comparisons came in. And Kyrie couldn't even play that day. He left the arena and just went away. And the wrong words hid, but that's the only word that came to mind, and just protected himself from it. And now, there's not much any of these players can do now to honor him. They did the 24-second violations and 8-second violations in every single game. Every single player has had their opportunity to pay respect. I know when I was on Instagram today looking at all the shoes, so many of them have Mambacita written on them. Rip Mamba, Rip Gigi. So they're going to do their best. I know people were bullying LeBron into saying something he finally did. I know the Buss family, Rob Pelinka, they haven't really had it in them to come out with an official statement, because I couldn't imagine how hard that is. Rob Pelinka was Kobe's agent for his whole career. And then Rob Pelinka was then the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers, something Kobe built with Rob Pelinka. Just sitting there. Jeannie Buss was the person residing over the Lakers in Kobe's final game. The thing that has stood out to me the most was how not even people in different sports, people in different continents were posting text messages and posting stories about this time they ran into Kobe and either asked him for a picture or were talking to him, and Kobe was texting him before a huge game. I know there was some AC Milan player who was like, Kobe texted him before the Coppa Italia semifinal or something like that. There's just so many little aspects of, a text message here and there, a conversation they had, a funny story, whether it was at All-Star Weekend, a Wednesday in Memphis, a vacation trip to Beijing. He touched someone's life. And that is some impact that you cannot trade for anything. And there's no way you can truly ever man, I'm sort of losing my words here. You can never really represent that. You can never really memorialize it. Kobe Bryant's numbers are probably going to get retired. The stories of Trae Young scoring however many points on 24 shots and 81% from the free throw. And then Devin Booker did something crazy as well. I think it was 24 points on 8 shots or 8 makes. With another 81% on the line. Trae Young wore the 8 jersey to honor him. I know when the Cavs came out, or the Pistons came out, one team was wearing 8, the other team was wearing 24 on their warm-ups. He really did revolutionize and change the game of basketball. And, his lasting legacy wasn't supposed to end with himself. It was supposed to end with his daughters. And you lost one of them. And that's an increase to the tragedy. And I honestly keep talking in circles here, but I want to close this show out with just one final message about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was the hero of Southern California. Kobe Bryant was an athlete that transcended not only the country, the state, and the city he played in, but transcended the world. There are legends in the world, the Michael Jacksons, the Michael Jordans, the Princes, that have touched so many lives in so many different ways and will never, ever be forgotten. They will truly be immortalized talents and immortalized people. That's one thing Tracy McGrady said about Kobe, and that was one thing that Kobe achieved. Immortality doesn't come with living forever. Immortality comes with the impact you have in however many years you live your life. Kobe Bryant's basketball story was going to be immortal regardless. Kobe Bryant's lineage was going to be lived on through his eldest daughter. And Kobe Bryant was not done yet. Kobe Bryant was pushing himself to succeed in businesses and film and other artistic projects that he never had the opportunity to get to while he was playing the sport. Barack Obama, and the current president, said it that he was just getting into a second act, a beautiful second act, that as a father, as an artist, as a person who helped the next generation push themselves forward. The Mamba Gym and the Mamba Sports Academy was just the tip of the iceberg. That 2-week training camp with 12 to 14 young players that he really thought could become great in the league was just a small part of the impact he had on individuals. His basketball was only a small part of who he was. Whether it was Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, Derek Fisher, Matt Barnes, guys who were absolute transcending superstars themselves, all the way down to that 11th, 12th man on those Laker teams. He had a positive impact on them, and he got the best out of everybody. And when you look at your rival, Kobe Bryant didn't just push his teammates to be better. He pushed the league to rise to a higher level just to beat him. Every single night, all 82 games of the year. That is what Kobe Bryant's going to be remembered for. His tenacity, his nature, and his snake-like bite when it came to those clutch moments and those buckets where you're just like, wow, how do you pull that one out? The thing that keeps going around the internet is shooting a ball of paper into a trash can is never going to be the same, because it's not. And the life without an athlete like Kobe Bryant is not going to be the same. And that's the hardest thing to put into perspective. 41 years old. Felt like it was just getting started again. And he's gone. And no matter if you're a Celtics fan, a Lakers fan, a fan of any of the other 28 NBA franchises, the rivalries, the memories of him dogging your team, those are going to stick with you. Because he wanted them to. The flaws in his character will not be masked by this tragedy. They're going to be part of his legacy. And that is one thing as humans you have to remember. Is for better or for worse, the greatest moments of your life and the worst are going to be remembered. Kobe Bryant was not perfect. No one should ever remember him as that. Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant. And growing up, he wasn't my guy. And that really sucks because I missed out on a legend. I was comparing him to my own. And that is where this goes. To all my Los Angeles Lakers following friends, I can't imagine it. I am sorry. And I know those debates that you had with me are going to live in your memory forever. Because that's what stars do. And that's what rivals do, is they drive us. And you know what? At the time, you hate those guys. But at the end of the day, without them, what is it worth, I'm an Ohio State student. We hate the University of Michigan. But at the end of the day, there is such a high level of respect. And without them, I don't even know what I do every football season. Just going through 12 games of just football. You need that person you hate as much as you need that person you love. You need that person you're competing with every single day. And that was what Kobe was. And now, I've never ever hated an athlete, per se. But I've disliked him for all the wrong reasons, and Kobe fell into that category. And now, as I close out this show, I just want to pay my respects and just truly take a minute to appreciate what he accomplished on the basketball court. Kobe Bryant won 5 championships, was third all-time in scoring, tons of all-star appearances, all defensive first team appearances. When you look at his Wikipedia page, the list goes on and on. Live. All right, so Kobe Bryant is from Philadelphia. Went to Lower Merion, was drafted in the same year I was born. His career was right in line with my life until he retired in 2016. So that means the minute he was drafted to the NBA, my life was going to be attached to Kobe Bryant's career. In a lot of ways, when you were drafted to a sports team, you're kind of reborn. And this is what he was after the Charlotte Hornets traded him, biggest mistake in NBA draft history, obviously. this is what his career ended up being. So, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, NBA Most Valuable Player in 2008. He was an All-Star 18 times. 4-time All-Star Game MVP, 11-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time All-NBA Third Team, and 9-time NBA All-Defensive First Team. 3-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team, 2-time NBA Scoring Champion, back-to-back 2006-2007. He was the Slam Dunk Contest Champion as a rookie. He was the All-Rookie Second Team. He got 2 numbers retired. And in high school, his senior year, he was the Naismith Prep Player of the Year and a first-team Parade All-American. He finished his career with 33,643 points, good for third place. 7,047 rebounds and 6,306 assists. Kobe did not debut as one of the greatest ever. He did not have those years at the beginning where he came in and was just a superb, extremely talented athlete and player like LeBron and Michael Jordan, the 2 guys he's most often compared to. He had to adjust, and once it came to those NBA Finals 3-peat seasons, he was ready to go. He started off as a rookie who struggled. He started off as a guy who came off the bench and was the runner-up for the NBA Six-Man Award. Then he was part of the 3-peat with Shaquille O'Neal. And then for 3 years he came up short. And then the team sort of fell apart after they made that super team and did not win. The Shaq, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Kobe Bryant super team that reached the NBA, they did not win the NBA Finals with that. They were upset. And then Kobe went on his own individual accolades tour. It came back. He won 2 back-to-back championships. He was not ever my favorite basketball player. And I will never claim him to be, but at the end of it all, I just want everyone to know that I respected Kobe's game. And I cannot hide that anymore. So to close this show out, I just want to send out one last set of prayers and condolences to the 9 individuals who passed away in this helicopter crash. Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, and Alyssa Altobelli. Christina Mazur, Ariz Obayan, Sarah Chester, and Peyton Chester. The world lost some great individuals in that helicopter crash. Each one of those 9 people touching more lives than just their own. They were unselfish people, people who wanted the best for their family, wanted the best for the people they coached, and wanted the best for the people they lived for. And those 9 people will not be forgotten. And this tragedy is going to live for the rest of our lives. There will no longer be... it's just sad. It's a tragedy, and forever just sending prayers to those families. I just want to sign off and end this show. I will be back Thursday, and that is when I'll finally get up the courage to talk about the Super Bowl. Because that's what Kobe Bryant would want us to live our lives to the fullest of their potential. So you guys are going to get the best show for me Thursday. Because that is what I can do. Thank you. This is your host, Christopher Rennie, signing off.